James and Ryan here from the Sweet Science of Fighting Jiu-Jitsu Instructional channel. Again, make sure you check out the first link in the description. It is Ryan's book there, but we're going to go through more defensive concepts. These are more beginner concepts that will carry through as you become more advanced as well, but this one is the Panda concept. So continue on from the Diamond concept previously, denying inside position, now to the extreme with the Panda positions.
This is going to be talking about a little bit of the Panda system. Essentially, the Panda system consists of 5 positions that you kind of operate through in a roll, in an entirety of a roll. Wherever you find yourself, one of the 5 positions is going to be somewhat the answer or where you need to go and going in between these positions. There is a 6th position that I may touch on a little bit, but it's very high risk, and I usually don't, for beginners, it's going to be not something you should go to because you're breaking all the rules. So, but just before I show the Panda stuff, I just want to, it's going to be a little controversial because it's going to be taking our hands from defending our necks to taking our hands and defending our inside position. So basically what I'm doing is I'm bending my wrists here. If you kind of this idea is like to bend the wrist and I place it on my hip bones and I clamp my elbows down. Okay, so this is going to be where our hands stay the entire time. If I need to use my hands, I bring my head to my hands and I can start to play and start to hand fight. A general rule is if only time my hands can leave my body is if I control my opponent's hand. So in other words, if he's standing there and I grab his hand and I start to open up, then I can open up the position because I control the hand. Okay, and then I can start to move. Second is, do not consider this to be a whole game plan. This is not a game plan for all of your jiu-jitsu. Like, this is a terrible idea. It's because it's all defensive. At some point, you want to do something offensive. So a lot of times, you'll play Panda, and then you'll only be there for a couple seconds to recover your guard or to get back to active. So we look at Panda as somewhat not active, even though it is. We look at it as not active versus getting back to active, which would be offensively, going back to your guard. So look at it as a recovery. So that's number 2. And then again, number 3 is there is going to be some controversy over defending the neck. Okay, and this has been talked about and gone over for many, many years now. I highly encourage you to check out Britt Nicholson stuff. This is kind of his system and ideas. At least he really put it on the map, and so all the credit should, well, most of the credit should also go to him. So, but we've played at this gym for many years now, and it's extremely useful, especially for beginners. I will say it's useful for beginners because it gives a beginner a game plan. A lot of times a beginner comes in, doesn't know anything, and they're just all over the place, and you just keep getting tapped out over and over and over and over, and it kind of sucks. And jiu-jitsu does suck in that way, where you have to go through that process. However, it's different going through that process and having something to do versus going through that process and not knowing what the hell's going on. So if I say everything is about inside position, it truly is about inside position, especially for beginners. So this will save you a lot of heartache from having to produce escapes. Okay, so I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to show some of the positions that we're talking about, and they're going to seem kind of ridiculous, and then I'm going to demonstrate with James why they work. Okay. So first and foremost is what is Panda itself, position. Now this is going to seem ridiculous, but it's essentially my hands out front. I keep my hands next to my hips and I lean my head forward. I am not flexible. So I've seen guys put their head on the floor. You can do that if you want. I don't do that. This is as far as my legs spread apart. So I'm here, and this has been pretty effective, okay? The idea here is that if they are pressing on my back, I have my arms wedged here, so I can press on my back to where I'm kind of wedged in here, so he can only take me so far, right? If my hands are out here, my elbows are on the inside, he can squish me down to the mat. So it's very important to keep our hands down here. We're gonna go over what happens if he grabs the neck. Well, let's just cover it right now. If he grabs my neck, right, like this, if I stay here and he locks in a figure 4 and I just kind of hang out here and I just leave my hands down here, I'm gonna get strangled. This makes sense. The idea here is like there's a big difference between somebody behind you and then somebody on your back. Right now, James is behind me. Now, he doesn't have my back. In order to have control of my back, he would need his hooks in, his feet in, and he would need to have an inside position here with a seat belt. But he doesn't have that. He has this. And what this means is that I can kind of unwind myself and go into other Panda positions. So I wouldn't bring my hands up like this to fight the position necessarily because it opens up my inside position. And then he throws the seat belt in, and now I have to escape the inside position. At this point, if I was here, there's many things I can do, but the first thing I would tell people to do is, as he starts to choke me, I'm going to fall to my side, and I'm going to go here. Now, this obviously changes things, okay? Because he can't just strangle me at this angle, especially when I start to really go into my second position. But I just want to address this real quick. Again, it's going to be controversial, but again, this is going to be a whole part of the system. Keeping your hands here and not panicking when somebody grabs your neck. I'm going to get a lot of questions about MMA and gi, which I won't get into the MMA part of it, but it has been talked about already. Gi has also been talked about extensively. I will just say this. Panda was somewhat developed in the gi. Okay, so people talk about lapel chokes and all these things. Well, guys just grab your lapel and choke you. Not necessarily. You can still unwind. It doesn't mean it's not impossible. It's not impossible, but if I time, a lot of this is about timing too, right? I can't just just hang out here and allow James to get all the way around my neck and then get a figure four with his arm, and then I start to panda. No, it's not going to work. So I know that as soon as this comes around, I'm like, boom, I'm going to my neck and I'm going here. And now I have to contend with other attacks. Now, this is going to be hawking position. So that was panda position. Now we're going to go into hawking position. I didn't name it, but it's a hawking position because you're all twisted up, or because it's the answer for everything. And it actually is true. This position right here, it seems very strange, especially to even advanced jiu-jitsu people, because I'm exposing my back. I'm giving the person my back, which is a big no-no, right? In jiu-jitsu, you never expose your back. But with Panda, it's different. So when I'm here and I have my legs placed here and I keep my shoulder to my neck, I'm not bringing my neck to my shoulder because that's very difficult. I'm bringing my shoulder to my neck. This kind of gets around some of the north-south chokes and things you may face, neon face and all this other stuff. We'll talk about that. What I'm really concerned about is this top arm for now. Once people start getting more advanced, they understand that they have to get the bottom arm, but it's really the top arm I'm more concerned about. Why? Because this arm, my elbow starts to crawl to the inside, it's easy for him to get to the inside position. It's easy for him to get Kimuras and Kimura grips and start to Kimura me. And again, all that requires him to get to the inside position. If I keep my hands to my hips and I drop my elbow down, you see how he has to angle his body to get underneath. Remember, I'm not just stagnant here, right? As he starts to press her in, I can move. Right? I can move this position pretty effortlessly. And I can also move backwards. Right? All these positions we can move. Okay, so it's not like you're like, and I'm trying to hold my elbow to my body. This is not a strength thing. If I'm like this and I'm messed up and he starts to put his hand through, I can simply walk in a circle. And he has to kind of chase me, right? He has to spend more energy on top doing that than I have to do trying to clamp my arm down. Now, of course, I can clamp my elbow down and that would help, obviously. But I don't want to burn my arm out trying to do this. So simply moving can maintain this inside position pretty effortlessly, okay? So just consider this idea. My feet are very active here and my hands are here. As we get more advanced with this hawking position, my hands become very active, right? So in other words, if he gets lazy and he starts to attack with me, he puts his hands in this arena, I can start to grab his hands. Okay, and once I start to grab his hands, this changes things drastically because I can sit up and boom, I'm here. Again, the question is like, when he goes across my neck, what happens? He goes across my, boom, I grab the hand, I can sit up, and one of the things I can do, I can still go back to active. Again, just remember, this is not something you stay in, okay? This is not something I just like hang out in. This is for retention to get back to active, right? Back to an active position, whether it be standing up or whether it be playing guard, whatever you want to do. So that being said, to develop this, I highly encourage you to, however it's 5, 6, 7 minute rounds, whatever you guys like, just play this. Just play defensively an entire round, or for 5 rounds, play just defensively. Don't attack anybody. Just see how long you can control inside position and how frustrating it is for the person on top. You're going to get caught, and it's fine. Just the better you get at it, the better your timing gets, the better response you'll have to the adjustments that the person on top is going to make. Just understand that these positions, the 5 positions, the answer is in one of those positions, depending on what he does. Okay, so it's just kind of a crash course right now. So we're here, hawking position, right? So this is hawking position. Now the second position we're going to go to, and I'm not going to switch my feet, is I'm going to go to baby bridge. So at baby bridge is I'm here, and then I start to arch away. It's almost like I'm trying to like get to my belly, like a baby trying to get over to its belly. And this position is actually very, very useful. Okay, it is a response for like if I'm crunched up and say he wants to like start to go around my neck, go for cradle or something, I kind of arch up and go like this direction and go to a baby bridge. This is very good for like mount positions and things like this to start to produce space to start to escape, and for us to start to make transitions to running man and turtle, which we'll talk about in just a second. One thing I want to address too is about inside position as a demonstration in this position. If I was in hawking position, or I'm sorry, baby bridge position, or I'm in hawking position, if at any time he just tries to switch positions, say he goes to mount, my hands don't move. He goes to mount, boom, that's a mistake. Because now my hands are on the inside position of between his legs. So understand there's an inside position as well with his legs, below the waist. It's between his legs. So if I get here, then he can't control this position anymore. He can't go to mount. If he tries to go to mount here, you can still go to mount, but then I'm going to just bridge, and then I can turn around and go back to active, or I can just completely change position. It's the same thing from side control. If I'm here, and he goes to side control, put your back, put your arms over around side. If he allows me this inside position, right, and I'm here, he's lost the position. Like he's bridged and then start to turn around, right? So it's very valuable too. So don't just look about controlling your inside position as you get more advanced. Think about how you attack his inside position while maintaining your inside position. Again, one of the easy examples is this. Boom, I get here, he goes to set a mount. Boom, I maintained my inside position, but then I recognize I have his inside position, and then I can go back to active, okay? If I go up like this, and I swing up to Panda, like this, and he starts to go from my back, and he throws his hook in, his right foot hook comes in, and he gets lazy with this, my hands stay inside position, and I scoop out, okay? I'm not saying any of this is easy. I'm just saying that if you hyper-focus on inside position, you can't be controlled. In other words, you can continue to move. That's all it is. Based on your skill level, you will get caught because you'll do something wrong, your timing won't be right, you'll move your hand when you think you didn't move your hand, which is why I encourage people to film themselves as they're doing this to see where they're opening up, because you may not even recognize where you're opening up and you're like, oh, this doesn't work. But it takes a lot of time to develop this and to get comfortable in the positions. You have to develop a level of comfortability. That's all jiu-jitsu. So we're here, I got to hawking position, I got to baby bridge. Now I'm going to go to running man, and this is pretty classic jiu-jitsu. We're going to change the running man to a slight modification, and we're going to step with our knee down. My hand's going to stay up instead of down here. It's going to stay up, and I'm going to get here. I'm going to turn my head down to the floor. This is kind of an in-between, a transition position, okay? I can go to Panda from here by swinging back. If James starts to go north-south, I will just swing back to Panda position, potentially. If I'm here and he just kind of starts to go towards my hips, then I can start to go to turtle positions. Okay, so the position it's somewhat of a transition position, but I'll hang out here. And the reason why is because if he gets lazy with his hands, and I can start to grab his hands, then this is going to be a problem. There's all kinds of attack systems and things we can do from here that we won't go into, but just understand your hands are very active here. If I get this, right, it's going to be difficult. He has to pull away, and then that gives me space, and I can go back to active. Okay, so we're here. So now I'm in running man position. Okay, and running man position is your position number 4. Okay, so Panda, hawking, baby bridge, running man. So now we're in running man. The reason why my legs are turned down like this and not like this, like kind of classic stuff, is leg locks. So one of Panda's Achilles heels is actually leg locks. Once he starts to go to my legs, I'm like, then I have to open back up. But this is totally different now, because now that he's going for my legs, now the position is open back up. Right? He's no longer closing off this position on my upper body, now it's due to the lower body. That's a whole other issue, but just this is why we recognize this, because the timing it takes for him to start to establish leg connection and leg attacks, I can begin to defend that position or get back to active. So this is going to be the running man position. Okay, and then of course now from here we'll actually have turtle position. Your hand can be placed here to be fighting hands, but once you're ready to go to turtle, I'm going to place my hand here, and the reason why is to block the hook. Because if I go like this and I don't block the hook, he's going to slide his left foot in. Boom, he's got a hook, and then now he has my back. Now he has inside position, right? But if I do this and he goes again, I block that just for a second, and then I can make that turn. And then now we're active, or we're a turtle. All right, so without James here, we have we have turtle position, Panda position, hawking position, baby bridge, running man. And each one of these you can swing in and out of once you start to really develop them. With turtle, I just want to touch base on the turtle. We have been told, and I look from the side here, we have been told, including myself, for many, many, many years, that, right, to do this. Okay? This is not wrong by any means. I'm not saying anybody's wrong. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that this, no matter how fucking tight you get, they're going to push, they're going to get that inside position. And if they don't get that inside position, you're just having to use a lot of strength to stay tight, right? It's not such a great idea because, one, you're having to expend more energy. But the idea is that you're keeping your hands up here so that you don't get choked, right? Now in gi, that's an issue, right? And we deal with that. And Panda system can actually deal with that. We could probably go sit back to hawking or some other position. In no gi, it's not so obvious why I should keep my hands like this, right? Now, obviously, because of strangulations and things, but the gi makes it obviously clock chokes and things like this in the gi makes it much easier to produce chokes from turtle position. In no gi, you can produce chokes, guillotines and all these things, darces, anacondas, but it's more of a setup, right? There's more movement involved to actually get to that. So when I'm in turtle position, I keep my hands the same position. My hands never left this position, and I keep my head on the floor, okay? Now, again, the reason why is I want to block the inside position because I don't want to be controlled. He can pull me around and jerk me around. If he does, I just fall back to my other positions. I get here and I move around. I go back to here. I go back to my turtle position. But I'm denying him the inside position. In the event he grabs my neck and starts to try to choke me, I simply just fall to my side. I fall to my side and begin to keep the fight on the side. I'm able to move, so I'm able to unwind myself, right, from all these these strangulation or these chokes that are happening without any control of my body. And that's the idea. So it is very controversial, and I'm not saying one way is wrong. I would say that I've used the Panda system for many years, and it's been more effective for my jiu-jitsu and other students in the gym for their jiu-jitsu as well, especially for beginners, because they can survive a lot longer and they can have time to think and to try to figure things out and where they're at instead of just being completely frantic. It's kind of a crash course on Panda. There's a lot more involved with Panda that you have to learn, which is why we have a specific class on Panda. But just a simple concept, okay? I know this is complex, but the simple concept of maintaining this inside position and not allowing anybody in the inside position allows me to move. Because if I get this and he gets to mount, I can't move. I have to produce an escape, right, to be able to move. This is not technically an escape. I was never controlled, okay? So just take the idea, that simple concept, and we'll probably produce in the future more details on Panda system itself with specific moves and getting back to active and being aggressive with Panda, and actually attacking with leg locks and things like this. It's really fun. Or go to Britt Mickelson has videos on this that you can buy, probably BJJ Fanatic or something. Check those out as well. But highly recommend to take the time to study this system.